Olivia. Where did you come from?
It doesn't matter. I've been doing research on gut health and different diseases, and I have to tell you about it.
Okay.
Well, come on, let's go.
Go?
Yeah, let's go.
What?
So you know, the microorganisms in our gut play a huge role in our health. Inflammatory bowel disease, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and mental health.
Wait, what?
All right, so let's just take a step back and talk about inflammatory bowel disease. As we both know, this is one of the most studied diseases when it comes to problems with our gut. There's so much recent research showing that diet greatly impacts the microbiome in our gut, which also greatly affects inflammatory bowel disease.
So it's not just the effect diet has on IBD, but on the microorganisms in our intestines too?
Right. And one study showed that healthy people without IBD had higher levels of Firmicutes and lower levels of Bacteroides, with the reverse true for people with IBD.
And those are two different bacterial phylums, right?
Yeah, and they both contain beneficial bacteria, but with altered ratios, they can be correlated with IBD. Other studies have showed that people with a diet high in saturated fat and low in fiber, you know, the Western diet, have changed the microbiota in their gut, which contribute to the development of IBD.
You're saying the increased prevalence of IBD may actually be linked to the increased adaptation of the Western diet?
I know, isn't that crazy? But there's so much research that we haven't even covered yet. So let's get on to the next topic. All right, now we're going to talk about cardiovascular disease and diabetes.
Wait, Olivia, those aren't really related to your intestines. How are they related to your gut microbiota?
Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but the bacteria in your gut break down the indigestible fibers, like the oatmeal you ate this morning, into short-chain fatty acids, which then help regulate your gut hormones like GLP-1, as well as reduce inflammation. And these hormones help improve insulin insensitivity and decrease glucose intolerance.
Huh, that's actually really interesting, Liv. And short-chain fatty acids, those also decrease blood pressure, right? So you have a decreased risk of cardiovascular disease.
Right, and so on the topic of cardiovascular disease, microbes feed on a nutrient called choline, commonly found in high-protein foods such as red meat, poultry, eggs, and fish. And it converts it into trimethylamine, also known as TMA, which is then oxidized into TMAO.
TMAO, that's linked to artery clogging plaque, right?
Yes, you're getting it. And so short-chain fatty acids help decrease the risk for diabetes and decrease the risk for cardiovascular disease, while TMAOs increase the risk for cardiovascular disease. All right, on to the next topic.
Wait.
Okay.
Can I do this one?
Okay.
Wasn't expecting this.
We're on our last topic, mental health in the gut.
Is this the gut-brain axis thing I've heard thrown around?
Yes, and there's a bunch of neurological disorders like Alzheimer's, dementia, anxiety, depression, even Parkinson's that are all linked up to the gut microbiota and overall intestinal health.
Really? How?
There's a lot of emerging research on all the topics we've discussed so far, but especially this one. The gut and the brain are intimately linked, meaning that all the parts of the gut, like the intestinal lumen, microbiota, food, bile acids, and the intestinal mucosa, all send information to the brain and other organs in the body through blood circulation and sensory nerve.
Oh, and then the brain sends back signals that affect the mucosa and gut microbes, right? Through changes in the autonomic nervous system and hormones like cortisol.
Right, and so one study showed that bifidobacteria altered the mRNA expression in GABA receptors, which decreased serum cortisol. And these decreased levels helped improve mood, stress, and mental health.
Awesome! And there are other studies that have demonstrated that probiotics help normalize cortisol levels and reduce circulating pro-inflammatory cytokines. Oh, and I've also heard that diets like the Mediterranean diet help improve brain function and mental health.
And through this research, we've seen the positive effect that a healthy gut has on mental health, and vice versa.
This has been a great adventure, Liv. Thanks for sharing all this information with me.
You're welcome, and thanks for joining us.
What?